Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Ask Me Anything show by JVology. I am your host, Krista Inikovsky, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to a fascinating woman who I consider a friend of mine through JVology, Vaishali Nikhade. How are you today, Vaishali?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Other than the fact that I had you room hopping from broadcast studio to broadcast studio, jumping around the wrong rooms. But here we are, and we're live, and we're ready to have a really, really good time. And I'm excited to be able to talk to our audience about what you do, because you are very unique in your background and what you're creating in a really awesome 5-day challenge. But before we get into all of that, I just like to give our viewers a heads up. One, if you are watching this anywhere other than the original broadcast page, I'd love for you to click right above up here where you see Jay Facette's name. Click on Jay. That'll open up this original broadcast live video, and that way you can comment, and those comments we'll be able to see and we can respond, because again, this is called the Ask Me Anything, so it's always fun if you can ask us some questions. And this show is something we do weekly too. Vaishali's laughing already. The Ask Me Anything show is something that we do for our JVology community members to get to showcase their brilliance and what they're up to. And that's really what JVology is all about, is sharing how we're serving the world. And so if what Vaishali is going to talk about serves the world in a different way than you do, which I'm pretty sure it's different, then you can share what she does with your audience, and we can really collaborate and help spread the knowledge and interesting things that are going on here with everyone. So I'm going to kick this show off with a little JVology intro, and then we'll bring Vaishali on. All right, so Vaishali has transitioned from a left brain engineer to a right brain intuitive by accident. I can't wait to hear that part of the story. And getting nowhere after consulting tens of psychics, she's studied and learned the subtleties of intuition. And she started this, or shares this expertise to help entrepreneurs unleash their creative genius and get in touch with their intuition. Vaishali is the host of a podcast, The Uncanny Link, where psychics meet metaphysics. Am I saying it right? Physics meet metaphysics, and science meets woo. So I can't wait for you to explain what all of that means. And she has also been a podcast guest on many, many great podcasts. So Vaishali, welcome to the Ask Me Anything show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Vaishali and I met at JVology Live in San Diego at the beginning of the year. And it's really been a joy and just interesting to be able to follow what you're creating and what you're up to and how you work in such unique and specific ways. And can talk more about that. But give us a little background. Like how did you get to where you are right now?
So I was having some problems related to work, and I decided to seek help. And the help I sought was calling up psychics.
Okay. And when you say work, was this your engineering work that you were doing?
No, it was something in between. Before I transitioned to an intuitive, there was some other work I was doing. So I was looking for help, and I called up psychics, and none of them were able to help me. I started with like 1, and then 5, and then 10, and then 20, and 40, and 50, and I stopped. I said,
I have a question. If you find something that's not working, what made you continue down that path instead of just trying to seek help from something else? What was it about the psychics that drew you to keep wanting to look for more?
So I may not have gone to 50, but I think maybe I went somewhere between 30 and 40. all of them were saying, that's a lot. That's like a whole bunch of people to go through. And all of them would say, like, maybe out of 100 sentences, like one sentence correct, sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, these people just don't know what they're talking about. I need to figure this out myself. And I decided to learn how to do it. So I went and I asked the universe, like, I need help. How do I do this? So slowly, the universe started opening the doors for me, and I started to learn how to read myself. And then I found a teacher who was who kind of helped me hone my skills.
Mm-hmm.
And this was more related to like fortune telling or future predictions, but essentially it's kind of leveraging what option you have to know like which way is going to be the right way, sort of a thing. Like sometimes, you can only be in one place at one time.
Right.
And sometimes you don't know whether I should go to this conference or that conference. And the San Diego conference that we met, I was not wanting to come to that conference. And because I had just come home from New Orleans and I'm like, oh my God, another conference, like another traveling thing. And then I have to stay in the hotel, then I have to eat like outside. It was just too taxing. So I said, maybe I don't want to go. And every time I would look at the reading would say that, go. I said, okay, I'll go. This is my last one. It turned out it was my last one because COVID hit after that.
That's funny. I remember hearing you say that you had some resistance. You just didn't really want to go to JVology Live, but every time you would look at the cards and do the reading, you got a strong yes that you needed to go. And how do you feel about that decision now?
Oh my God, here we are. I have made so many contacts since JVology and I've met such great people. It's totally been amazing. If I think of if I had not done this, oh my God, I don't think it would have been the same. I mean, even if I had ran into you guys online, yeah, it would have been okay, but there's still nothing like meeting in person and having that physical interaction. So I'm really glad I went.
Good. So am I. Because you've really just dove right into JVology and you've launched a podcast and now you're going to do a 5-day challenge that you're going to tell us all about. So that your activity seems to just be off the hook, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's we have a nice little group of people and everyone's always working on something. So if you're behind, you can just take inspiration from the next Facebook post and get going.
That's it. That's what it's all about. And that's one of the things I love so much about JVology is entrepreneurship or being almost a solopreneur or coach can be really lonely and isolating. And within our community, we keep such momentum and engagement and fun with each other, even as we're working on our individual businesses.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've met so many great people through JVology and just by being in the group and talking to people and through the online conference as well. It's been a lot of fun.
Right. All right. So tell me a little bit more. You got trained in different forms that were engaging your intuition and how to use your intuition to make business decisions, right? Tell me more what that looks like.
So a lot of the training I got was more like on the job training sort of a thing. I did learn from a lot of different teachers, but then, it's not about learning, it's about implementation. It's just like having an online business. You can take a lot of courses, you can learn, but unless you go and implement them, nothing is going to come out of it. And you won't like run into the roadblocks. You won't like, dirty your hands or wet your feet and know what it's like to do that kind of a thing. So when I started reading and I would do predictions and I would do them for myself. And then once they started working, I started doing them for my clients. And that's when when they would come back and tell me that, oh, this played out, that played out. And then what happened is after a certain point, I wanted to bring this out to the world. Like I couldn't teach them what I knew because it took me a long time and a lot of different teachers and a lot of techniques and a lot of combining. It's like a long road. So I was always wondering, how do I bring this out to the world? It was always a question. So the first attempt I made, which was like a PhD thesis of finding the weakest link, you were there. So we did that call where I said, okay, let me just show them how to find the weakest link. And that was, it was like a PhD thesis. It wasn't a 5-day challenge. But then I started working on it again. And finally, I think I've come to a point where I can bring this out to a common person where you can kind of go through a simple, very simple exercises and learn from those exercises to sort of unleash your creativity, because that's really what makes you unique. And that's what's going to attract people to you. It's just like attracting a person. You're not going to be attracted to, like, even if there's 10 people in the room, you may be attracted to one or two. You don't want to be attracted to the wrong person. So it's the same thing when you're selling a product or a service. You don't want to attract the wrong audience. It's more headache than you think or know.
Right. I really love how you emphasize unleashing your creativity. I'm a huge advocate of being creative and how to make that happen and being in the right state of mind, frame of mind for creativity. And so tell us a little bit more about what that looks like from the perspective of the challenge or the work that you do to unleash somebody's creativity. Because you're absolutely right. It's when you're creative that you are in the space where everything starts to come together in alignment with who you are and what makes you unique. So I think it's incredibly important. Can you give us a little bit more background on what that might look like?
Yeah, so like all of us are unique individuals or unique human beings, and we have like a unique characteristics which sort of other people can point and tell us. Like, I'm sure that if you have been to like a party or a meeting, maybe 10 people will come and say the same thing to you. Or if you teach a class, and you have a lot of reviews, 10 people will write reviews, but the essence of the reviews will remain the same. And what they are doing is they're highlighting your strengths and they're highlighting your weaknesses. And whatever are your strengths, you want to play them out to the fullest extent. And whatever are your weaknesses, you outsource that. You just let somebody else take care of it. And that way you can leverage your strength and be in a strong position. So creativity is this unique, it's actually a byproduct of intuition, for lack of a better way of saying it. And what it is it's just the way we create or the way we bring things out in the world, and each of us has a unique way of doing it. So the universe will give us some sort of a signal, and it's very, very subtle. So the first time most of us will miss it. I miss it. The second time we get that signal, we realize, oh, this is what it was trying to tell me. And then the third time, like most people will get it, like this really is what it was trying to tell me. So creativity is just tapping into those signs, those intuitive signs or the signals which the universe is giving us, and kind of taking those and running with them and see what we create out of it. There's a question. Did we answer that?
Yeah, so James has chimed in with a question, and he's asking if not being creative may be a byproduct of a fear or being judged.
Yeah, I believe that everybody has that fear at some point, or at a lot of points. Everybody has a fear that if I do this, what is this person going to say? And I have the best answer for that. I'm not sure if James will like it. Just ask them this question, that if I don't do this, are you going to pay my bills? And that will take care of it.
James, down to money, right? You're saying when you step into your creativity, step into what you're called to do, then the money will come. And if we're afraid of all of that, then chances of being really profitable with our business, we're afraid to step into that creativity, the money won't be there. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I think when we step into our creativity, we'll sort of let the genius shine through us, and we'll create something which is going to be very unique and very distinct, and which reveals a real you-ness sort of a thing. And that makes it extremely appealing to the people or the audience we are going to attract, as opposed to creating an average Joe product, which, like, yeah, it will be there, but it's like no different than the other noise in the competition. If you can stand out with your uniqueness, like, let's say that I like red lipstick, and if I just stand out with the red lipstick, I'll attract all the people who like that. I don't want to attract the green and the pink and all those people, because they're not going to gel.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you've created a 5-day challenge that's upcoming, and it ties into this in the uncanny link. So tell us more about what's going to happen during the 5-day challenge and like who it's for. And I'd love to know what someone can expect to get out of that.
Sure. So the 5-day challenge, it's for online entrepreneurs who have launched a course or a product or a service, and they haven't had much success with it. Like, let's say they were expecting a certain number of people to convert, and they did not have the right amount of conversions, or people just made some silly excuses to not get their product for whatever reason without specifying what it is that was turning them off or not making them buy the product. So if you let your genius shine through the product and say that, hey, listen, this is really what makes this unique or what makes this distinct, then you will have either a buyer or not a buyer. But by doing that, you're going to attract more and more of your right buyers. So that is one class of people. And then the second class of people is somebody who is just starting out and who has like the idea for product, and they don't really know exactly, like, okay, I have this product, but so does Tom, and so does Joe and John, and all these people have the same product. So how do I stand out? And just by using your genius and kind of sprinkling it inside the product, you can make yourself stand out. It's like, think of it as having this unique flag, for lack of a better word, which, it shines, and some people will be attracted to it and some people will not be. You just want the ones who are going to be attracted to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That really makes such a big difference. All right, Vaishali. So is there a particular type of person or business person that you feel like really needs this or suffers from, kind of falling into this trap?
So people who have like a Me Too product, most of the people who have a Me Too product, they would want to like stand out on their own. Think of it this way, like, sometimes a lot of people sell online courses. You have these big affiliate launches, and in these affiliate launches, you have 10 people selling the same course, and with that, they offer a bonus. And lots of time, people buy the course just for the bonus. I remember sitting on a call with Jay once, and he was saying that, he bought the PLF 3 times just for the bonus, because the bonuses were so good and so rich and so appealing. So think of your product as being that single bonus which people want, and they can't get it anywhere else. So that's really what you'll create if you unleash your genius and leave it out in let it go in the product.
Yes, I love that. I love that. It really is. It's an easy trap to fall into as we're studying people that are steps ahead of us, not to just mimic and become too closely what that mentor or coach is. And sometimes we lose track of our own identity within what we wanted to create because we're following a model that works. So it sounds like by connecting with what you do, by taking the 5-day challenge, it will help the participants stay really connected to what's true for them and make sure that their own light is shining through. Like you said, like stand out on your own. I love these words that you're using to help people really find that bit that makes them unique and lead with that, like shine with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so most people are running after the next shiny object. So what if you become the next shiny object? Then people will come and get you. Just become the shiny object and let your own creativity shine through your product.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, that's a big part of like my own personal, I think, purpose and brand. It's like, you know, when you do it, shine, but we have to be reminded. And I like what James said a bit ago about, you know, fear, insecurity. There's different things that start to creep in and prevent us from truly shining or standing out. And so if you're here helping us, reminding us, and giving us ways to get creative again, I believe that our creativity needs resparks. Like we'll be in a good zone, and then things in business start to come down, and we get more, I guess, analytical and focus, and lose out on some of that creativity. But Vaishali, you are both analytical. You came from an engineering background. You've shifted into this intuitive space, which is, you know, leaning more on the woo-woo side. So you now are like this whole spectrum. Tell me, you know, what that looks like in your own brain to really be, do you consider yourself balanced? Does it help you to have, you know, to be good on all sides?
So it's really very, very different. So because I was trained in engineering, that part of my brain is still active, believe it or not. I have actually a master's in electrical engineering. I used to design computer chips. And I don't know if I can design them now because so much has changed in the world. But in terms of technology itself, the right brain is very, very different. The right brain kind of, it's more like what Steve Jobs said on connecting the dots. The right brain will connect the dots in such a weird way that you would have never imagined. And when I first started playing with it, it was like, you know, so I also took classes in intuition, and I used to teach classes on intuition. So it was like remote learning via the phone long before Zoom existed. But part of the teaching was, you know, you can create something. So just like how we create a product in the physical world, we can create it intuitively. And we have to give it like a goal that, you know, this is what I want to create. And then because like, just because I'm left brain, but it's more like logical thinking. So most people are thinking logically that, hey, listen, you know, if I work for $20 an hour and I go to this shop and I put in an hour, I'll make $20. So if I ask to create $20 intuitively, the universe will just kind of give me $20 in a very, very weird way. So then I had to completely reframe my thinking and focus more on what it was that I wanted rather than how I'm going to get it. Because a lot of the times the question becomes how. But when you start asking what it is that you want, you know, you kind of change your frame of reference, you change the way you think, and you're allowing a lot of space for the universe to kind of connect the dots. And believe it, they're not going to be connected in the way you or I think. It's going to be like a third way, and it's like, oh my God, I would have never thought of doing it like that. So that's how the right brain works. So right now I kind of use both the brains. I don't want to say I'm either right or left. I use both the brains. They each have their advantages, and but overall, I think they're wired differently and they work differently. So yeah,
It's so interesting. I consider myself my own personal powerful manifester, and use thought and intention and creativity and vision. And what you were saying about things, the universe doesn't deliver it the way that you expect it to get delivered. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation, and then I've realized when I really like kind of like both pull out and then dive in, where I go, oh my gosh, this is what I asked for. It's just showed up in a completely different way. So
yeah, because when we look at two dots, we are looking at this one and this one. This is where I am and this is where I want to be. And you know, this is how I'm going to go there because that's how I want, that's how everyone else has done it, and that's how I'm going to do it. And the universe says, no, I'll take you like this, like that. Then I'll take you here and then I'll take you there. That's just how the universe works. But it's very hard for a normal person to kind of understand it unless you go through at least some sort of an experience.
Yes. All right. So I have a question for you, Vaishali. In your opinion, in your professional experience in all of this, does everyone have the ability to be intuitive? Is it a learned skill, or is it just something that some people have and others don't?
No, so we are all born intuitive. We all have that power or sense, whatever you want to call it. And it's just that some people will use it and leverage it, and some people will not. It's just like running. Everybody has, well, most people have two legs, right? And if you have two legs, most people can walk. And if you can walk, if you can bump it up a little bit, you can start jogging and then you can start running. But not all people will run. And then, you can graduate it more. You can run like a 5K, a 10K, a half, a full, all these kind of races, right? A half marathon, a full marathon. But not most people will never flex their muscles to do it. So the intuition is the same way. We are all born with it. And, like by the time a child is around, say 5 or 6, they start to lose it because they come to the real world. Until then, they are kind of still talking to fairies and all those kind of things. And then the world becomes more real to them and they start losing it unless, you are born in a family or something where everyone is teaching you. But it is definitely a learned skill and it can be taught and it can also be used for life as well as for business. Yeah, getting a last minute interview.
I love how you compare it to running, and I understand that you're a runner. You've done some distance running and races and marathons. So it sounds like you're kind of using both of those, right? It's the physical muscles of training and then also those intuitive muscles. But yeah, tell me, what's the most interesting run you've ever done, or what are you most proud of?
So I think what I'm most proud of is the full marathon because I screwed it up. For those of you who don't know, the full marathon is like 26.2 miles. And the first year I trained, I could barely run like a few miles. So I've been in fitness for a long, long time, but I just wasn't used to running. So I signed up at the gym I was, I talked to the instructor and she said, the first day you have to run 5 miles. I said, 5 miles? Oh my God, I can't even run a mile. She's like, well, you have like 4 weeks, you go and train yourself to run 5 miles. So I would practice the run walk sequence. Like there's a training called run walk where you alternate the runs and the walks to build up the speed. So I would do that on my own. Like you have to run on the street. Running on the treadmill is different. So I would run on the street and I did the run walk. So I built it up to 5 miles. The first time I ran 5 miles, oh my God, my legs were completely dead. But anyway, after that, I ran the half marathon that year. That was the goal race. I ran the half marathon, which is like 13.2 miles. So we started 5 miles. Then every week we would increase a mile. So by the time, I think 12 miles was a run and the half was 13 miles. So the next year, I told the coach or the instructor, I said, I think I want to do a full. She said, if you want to do a full, the first run is going to be like 13 miles. And you just practice a little bit, like stay in shape for running and then do it. So then we trained for the full. There was a bunch of us. It was a group training. And so it's like a part-time job to train for a full marathon. And anyway, so what happened is I trained for the race and the food I had with you, when you run so much, your body needs a lot of food. If you want to eat anything you want, just run a marathon. So by mile 16, I was like so dead tired, I could barely walk. So I walked like the last 5 miles. I finished it in like 5 hours and 15 minutes or 25. I forget, it was a while. So either 5:15 or 5:25, and my goal was around 5-ish. So I still did pretty well. I'm happy I crossed the finish line.
That's a huge accomplishment, regardless of time. Just putting in the effort, the discipline, and it is a progress, right? I think there's a lot of metaphor that goes along with marathon training of what it takes to prepare before you can actually show up that day and run long enough to cross the finish line. So that's really awesome.
It's just a lot of work. It's just like a lot of work.
Yeah, it sure is. Now, I wanted to touch on the cards that you use. There's a specific type of cards that you like to do in doing readings. Now, is all of your intuitive work happen through the cards, or is that just one methodology that you like?
No, that's one of my teachers through whom I learned. So I kind of I learned. So that's the one where I said I learned it on my own, and I found the teacher. So that's the one of the teachers I learned from, and part of it is part of the information comes from the cards, and part of it is also intuition. And I combine both the methods. So when I actually do the reading, I'm also, for lack of a better word, channeling the information from the cosmos and giving out the information. So a lot of what I give out a lot more details. It could be, I give out a lot more details, and it's only like when they play out, that's when you kind of understand what it means. Because see, when you're giving an intuitive reading or doing an intuitive reading, the person is in present time, right? Like if I give a reading to you now, you're just looking at the now. But when I give you something that's going to happen in the future, I'm kind of telling you exactly, laying out the scene and that kind of a thing. So it's hard for a person to sort of comprehend or understand that this will really happen until it actually plays out. I have developed these abilities just by flexing the muscle like millions of times. And so it's using both. It's using my intuition as well as the cards, as well as practice. So nothing beats hard work. That's what I will say.
Yeah, and you've heard this, Vaishali, my story, of course, but I love to share it with people. When we were in San Diego, you offered to do a card reading for me. Is there a specific name to it? Should I be calling this something?
No, just a reading. Yeah, reading, okay. Card reading.
So the card reading, and you had me come up with either like it was a topic or a question that I have in mind that directs the question. And you pulled the cards and off you went. And like you said, because my context is present moment. So you're showing me the cards, and in my mind, I'm trying to connect the dots, present moment. And I'm like, okay, you can almost always make sense of something. And even though, I was in one direction, you were pretty clear on the direction things were going as you turned the cards. And so I was like, okay, that's cool, Vaishali. Thanks for showing me. And like, okay, I'm always curious. And it was probably 5 days later that I woke up. I was like, oh my gosh, what Vaishali told me just happened 3 days ago, which was something completely unexpected, completely out of the blue, completely blew my mind. And I was like, Vaishali's amazing. Like this was, it really was like, oh my gosh. And you were very clear that it normally takes as long as 3 months. You said like give something 90 days for things to flush out. Is that kind of the timeline it can be?
No, I think usually when I do a test reading like that, I would do it like for a week or so that people can see quick results. Mm-hmm. But you can look further out in the future, and you can also tell like what's going to happen. You can specify a time frame and look out in the future. Mm-hmm. And kind of tell what's going to happen. But I don't do those readings for newbies because, that's like too far out for them to believe it. So you need something which is quick thing. It's like a quick bite. Let me see that it really works. Let me see that it happens. So that's why I do them for a quick turnaround, for lack of a better word.
Well, it blew my mind, and So, I've been a fan. I'm a fan of you anyway, but I'm even more so because I had a cool experience. Now, James was asking, I don't know if it's a fun question, but an interesting question. How often do you ever deliver bad news to a client? What does that look like?
Yeah. That's actually a very good question. So, not all of the readings are good, so to say. In fact, I have an example for this, for the bad news. Elaine Gibson, she is, I met her through one of the meetings, and I told her I would kind of do a sample for her. and it was actually a bad reading. I just gave it out to. Usually I don't do that, but I just
okay
gave
if
it out
you share this with everybody?
because it was in the form of an email, and she emailed me back. She's like, this and that and that. I said, I hope it's wrong. Maybe it was just like a mild thing, and maybe it won't play out. So then she came back to me like a week later. She said, oh my God, that was so dead on. But usually when I have to give bad news, I don't really, there's 2-3 different ways I do it. First of all, if it's like a regular client, I'll tell them that this is not good. Do you want to hear it? So if they say yes, most of my regular ones, like when I started like 6 years ago, some of those clients are still reading with me. So if they say yes, I want to hear it, then I just give it to them. If they say no, I don't want to hear it, then I will say like, hey, you may want to be careful around ABC or XYZ, something like that. So that's one way I do it. Another way, if it's a brand new client, then I kind of ask questions around it and sort of lean them more towards what it's showing rather than just, dumping it on them. It's more like a soft landing, but at the same time delivering the news, because I don't want to hold that to myself, because first of all, that news has no importance for me. It's not playing out in my life. It's more for them. And since they came to me for guidance, I might as well tell them what's going to happen or what to expect so that they can be more prepared for it. That's how I handle it. But I don't ever so this is what my teacher told me. He said, so long as you stick to what the reading shows, you'll never go wrong. And I go by that rule.
So James is asking, can you fix a bad reading, or is it a done deal? Because where I would get skeptical, I know how powerful the mind is. And so just the thought of something bad to come can allow someone to manifest it. So I like the way that it sounds like you're trying to give them some guidance without actually putting that bad news in their heart and mind. So I guess that's kind of what James is saying. Can you maybe give a different direction that will help?
So fixing a bad reading is like, this is how a bad reading would work. Like, someone will ask, so what's going to happen if A, B, C, or X, Y, Z? And then you look and the reading will show. You asked what's going to happen. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. And then, it's up to the reader to interpret it. So then once you get the what's going to happen, and let's say it's a bad thing. So then you can ask, so let's say, it says that, oh, I'm going to lose money or something. So then you can ask, like, what can I do to avoid the loss, or what can I do to lose less money? So that's where your right brain thinking will kick in. And that's where you have to kind of work around the question as to what you can do to avoid that. Sometimes you can avoid parts of it. Sometimes you can avoid the whole thing. It's just like it requires levels of, levels of skill sets to be able to read and interpret things. So that's why I said, I've flexed my muscle a million times, because I do those, because the folks who read with me regularly, they kind of get the value of it. And that's how we fix their bad readings, or at least parts of them.
Yeah, that's really, this is what you're doing. It's very, very interesting. I would imagine you're working with people who aren't necessarily haven't fully bought into it. Maybe they don't have experience with using an intuitive or psychic means, but I think it's, for me, I'm open-minded and open to anything that's possible, even though I wasn't really raised with this as something to do. But I will tell you this, as a coach who's worked with entrepreneurs for years, the sticking point that keeps a lot of entrepreneurs stuck is just indecision. It's not knowing. There's these pivot points that happen time and time again in their business of, do I go A or B? Do I invest? Do I not? Do I go left or right? Whatever that looks like. And so it sounds, for what I know of you, you're helping them get their own clarity on all of these sticking points so that they can continue to move forward with momentum in their business that's aligned and creative and being unstuck. So I really, really see the value in what you're doing there.
So the pivot points, you brought up a really good point as far as the pivot points is concerned. The pivot points are so important and they come in so casually. It's just like me attending the meeting in San Diego. That was like a pivot point for me. I could have as well stayed at home and said, oh my God, another conference. I really don't want to go. If I did not have the ability to see through it and know that something was going to come out of it, I would have never gone to that conference. I was just way too tired. I'd been traveling for too long. But one thing about the pivot points is once you open one door, then they were like, believe it or not, since we met in New Orleans, actually, we met before San Diego. So, so once the door starts opening, oh my God, the universe has opened so many synchronous doors after that. It's like totally amazing. I've never seen anything like this happen so far. But for that, you have to make the right decision. You have to know, what may or may not seem good or bad on the surface. You have to know which way is the golden door versus the bronze door.
Yeah, that just made me realize, Vaishali, something that you and I have in common is I also, years ago, went to an event that I like, it just kind of like something told me, like, you just go. And I went to the event. The event was great, but the best part of the event was I met Jay and Joshua. And from meeting Jay at that event, he invited me to his next event, which was Mastermind to Millions. I showed up a month or so later, and we've been in each other's worlds ever since. And now we're good friends, and I work for him. So that you going to the virtual summit event and then meeting Jay there, and then taking action on his invitation for you to come out to JVology Live. I didn't really recognize that till just now, but we both have that kind of pattern in common, and it's worked out.
Yeah, just for the record, I used some of my intuitive tools to win that prize. You remember I won the prize over there?
That's right, you won. Jay's.
I used some of my intuitive skills to do that. It was not an accident at all.
James is saying true. Same here. I think James was at an event where Jay was speaking, and then ended up coming and taking. And James is all in also. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Vaishali, I want to give you one last opportunity to share with our audience anything we need to know about the 5-day challenge, how to get involved, what that's going to look like for them. So take it away. 5-day challenge.
All right. So the 5-day challenge starts today. If you want to create a product which is a bright, shiny object for your buyer, which the buyer sees and runs after, and you get the right buyer, then you still have time to sign up. In fact, you can sign up and get started today, and the link is in the comments. It's less than an hour of work per day, I would say, and you can do it in your own time. You can do it anytime during the day, and it's really, really simple homework. I'm taking you through very basic steps, which hopefully a 4th or 7th grader can do it. And by the end of 5 days, you will kind of get to know what it is that's going to make your product unique, or what is your own genius that you can make shine through the product. And the link is in the, is it in the comments, or?
Yeah, the link's in the comments. You can click on the uncanny.com Creative Genius Challenge, join that, get a part of the Facebook group, and gosh, let's see where you can do with your creativity. And this may be outside of the box for you. Maybe this is something you haven't really thought of or connected with, but I challenge you to go ahead and do it. Yes.
One more thing, the challenge is $5. It's $5 for 5 days, and that's what it takes to sign up for the challenge, because I don't want freebie hunters in there. And if you would like to sign up at a VIP level, you get added benefits where you can keep the challenge videos and go through them again for your next product and so on. And you also get an extra VIP day with me. So if you're not ready for the VIP, I get it. You can sign up for the $5 and upgrade it later if you feel like upgrading. But I would definitely invite you to click on the link and join the basic level at least.
Yes, absolutely. Take advantage of that. And subscribe to Vaishali's podcast. The podcast is the same name, correct? The Uncanny Link podcast. Awesome. Well,
Yes,
after this, you can go in and drop your podcast link in the comments as well. And of course, we'd love for you to subscribe and listen to all of Vaishali's very interesting stories and guests that you'll have on.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This has always been great. It's always interesting. I love hearing what you do and how you're helping entrepreneurs from a slightly different perspective, but getting really great results. So best of luck on the 5-day challenge. If you're out there listening, join the 5-day challenge. See what it can do for you. I think you'll be impressed, if not blown away, with yourself through Vaishali.
Yeah, it'll be amazing.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.